Seller's market, move over. There's a new sheriff in town. Too soon? Okay, a bit early. However, there's a lot going on in the housing market that will affect the seller's market. We've got a lot to talk about, and it's all coming up. Stay tuned. Hi, this is Warren Oberholser. As we go forward through this real estate market, in order to track or to understand where we're going, we have to look at where we've been. This is the latest information that just came out from the National Association of Realtors. Now, this is going to dovetail to my last two videos I released last week. So we're going to go back to the early 1990s. And if you look here, this is the Fed rate. And you can see at this point, they started dropping down the interest rates. They continued down. And then in 1994, we saw a big upswing. Okay. And it kind of did this roller coaster, dropped way down in 2004. And then, of course, back up in 2008. And then from that point, we had our biggest housing crisis that I know of. And that's when things dropped down greatly, including the Fed rate. And that went all the way down to zero. And you can see here, things were continuing until about 2016. They continued all the way up here to 19. And then again, with the pandemic, it dropped all the way down, and it is now coming back up. Now we're going to see how this correlates with interest rates. So you can see back where we talked about, we had the Fed rate was pretty high, and look at interest rates. In 1990, they were really high. They were at 10%. That's pretty high. Actually, they're over that. So as we go down, you can see how this sort of tracks and follows along, right? And then back in 94, they're up 9%, all right? And then they do just basically a song and dance right along with it. It's like they're in tandem. And then here, when we hit this area in 2000, we hit 8%, all right? And then you see this, you can follow me along as we go along here. And interest rates keep going down. Record low as we had in right there, 2020. And that's the thing I want to talk about, because what we're seeing now is the Fed rates going up quite a bit as interest rates have gone up as well. If you look at 3%, which is about where interest was when we started this year, a home price for a $400,000 home, a monthly payment with interest here, principal and interest, is a little over $1,600, right? Now look at 5.1, and we know interest now is at 5.5 plus. We're looking at double that, or just about double that. So it's $2,600, a little over $2,600. So that's what I'm talking about as far as the overall affordability. It's gone up 55%. That is making a difference. Where is this affecting? Well, the first area we're seeing that is active listings are staying on the market longer. We're seeing some fall out of contract, and we're also seeing just the overall amount of pending sales are down. Now, this is where we're going when I said there's a new sheriff in town. If you look at 2019, the market had went up, I think it's 5%. When we hit 2020, it was 15%. 2021, it was 25%. That's huge jumps. I've talked about this numerous times, that the average increase or annual increase appreciation of a home is 3% on an amazing year. Like the one we had in 2019 was 5%, right? That was still a good year. However, we don't see 15, we don't see 25%. That's unheard of. And this is what we're looking at now. So the forecast here, and this is from National Association of Realtors, they're saying it's going to be a negative 1%. Yes, we've gone up, but most likely prices may come down a little bit. So given all that, are we looking at a housing bubble that's ahead of us? The problem is we just have still record low inventory, and the homeowners are in a very comfortable position. Again, especially if they bought 5 or 6 years ago and they refinance, they've got lower property taxes and lower mortgage. So unless they can find a place to go, they're going to just stay there. So that will keep the market in check. As we move forward, it's not going to be a buyer's market, at least from the inventory and from what I see yet. But the market is affected by what's going on with interest rates. It clearly has. So if you're a buyer, I would have your realtor reach out to all the properties that have been sitting for at least 15 days. That needs investigation, because most likely it didn't get that big pop from the beginning. It's just sitting there, and the seller may be motivated, and that's the one to go to. Now, I already said we have an issue with inventory because of the fact that the seller doesn't have to sell. However, some have a different story. Some either got relocated. I've been reading some notes in my local MLS here where there's listing agents are offering to the buyer a $5,000 bonus if they can bring in as they put it, an acceptable offer. In other words, an offer that the seller will agree to by this certain date, because the homeowner is already in contract on another property and they need to perform. This is what I always talk about on my other videos. I said, stay away from the bidding wars and where you see a property that's going to get the most competition, because you will be paying too much. And that's just the way it is. Right now, there's a little space, there's a breathing room. And this is, again, that new sheriff in town. You have to hunt out the opportunities, but they're there. Now, there also may be somebody who has extended themselves, credit, what have you, and they realize they need to sell. They may have overpriced their property and the property was sitting there for a bit. And as I said, that's another big key. Even if they haven't lowered the price, I would reach out, have your agent reach out to the listing agent, get some conversation and ask, what's going on? Why hasn't it sold? Just do it in a supportive way. Don't accuse them of, hey, you idiot, why is it priced too high? See what they have to say. A lot of times they'll go, well, we thought the market was going up. It looks like we may have missed that window. My seller still wants to sell. Then, ask the usual questions like, what does the seller need? Do they need rent back? And what would the seller accept? Now, whatever they tell you, I'm not saying follow that verbatim, but that at least gives you a guideline of where things are. And if you feel, I think even at this price point, whatever the seller wants, whether they lower the price, or sometimes agents will tell you, they'll accept 10,000 off, just between you and me, the listing agent may say that. If you feel that that's still overpaying, then I would send him an offer for what you think is fair, and have your agent, put that forward. Say, this is not a lowball offer. If you look at numbers over the last year or two, it's still way above that. Whatever your number is, support it in your discussion. But I wouldn't wait. I think interest rates aren't slowing down. So if you see a house that looks good, and again, if it's at a point where the property is not getting activity and it's sitting there and it's kind of going back and forth, I would give them an offer. See what they say. And as far as your offer goes, have your contingencies in place. Okay, that means, again, if you have a loan, it would be your appraisal and your loan contingency, but also have your investigation. Right now, whether they did inspections or not, you should order inspections, of course, if they haven't. And if you see some issues that should be handled by the seller, I would definitely put that forward. So don't release those contingencies. That's really important. And that's what I talked about, where I think the more balanced market will go to. That's the other part of the sheriff thing, is you're going to be able to take some control. And what can happen when we see a market that does this run up like we've had for 2 years, and then you see a hiccup like we're having right now, prices will probably dip a little bit, but they're going to plateau, and they probably will start to go up a little bit more because we still have the issue with low inventory. So this could be an opportunity. I know 5.5% seems really high, and it's definitely higher than we were at 3%, and if you were so lucky to get 2.6%. But the point is, if you can afford this, all right, I'm just speaking to the buyer that says, yeah, I can still do this. Do I want to do it? Well, that's another story. But if this looks like a house you want, it's a location you want to be, and you see yourself there for 5 to 10 years, I would take advantage of that opportunity, all right? So again, don't just get involved in all the bidding wars. Don't get caught up in the hype. I would try to take this time and look at properties that have been sitting, have some discussion with the listing agent, as far as that your agent will, and find out if that's something that has an opportunity. Now, at the same time, if a property just got pulled off the market, and we're seeing a lot of that too, whether the seller thought, oh man, I didn't get all those offers I thought, or sellers get cold feet too, because they wonder where they're going to go. I would have your agent reach out to the listing agent and say, hey, is the seller still interested? because we could do something, and that I have put deals together like that too. But so there's opportunities here. And I feel the seller is not in control like they were, especially the beginning of this year. And really all the way up to March, there still was a high demand. I talked about my listings, how we were able to generate several offers and again, came in hot. I think those days are behind us right now. And this is an opportunity. And if you're still in the market to buy, I hope you take advantage of that. Now, again, if you've been shopping, let me know what your story is. Please put that in the chat comments down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Post your questions and comments down below, again, like I just talked about. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, consider doing so you don't miss anything. If you found this video interesting, I want you to watch these other two. I talked about them. I just released those last week, and they go into a lot more detail as far as how the Fed rate affects interest rates and what could be going on as the year goes through. So please stay tuned. I have more helpful videos like this coming soon. Please reach out to me for any of your real estate questions or needs, and I wish you all the best on your home journey.